Well, exactly 2 weeks from tomorrow will be the March 8th trade deadline. Hard to wrap your head around that. And you saw the front end there. Who says no? So, fellas, I'm going to present you with a bunch, well, 5 to be exact, of hypothetical trades.
I love hypotheticals.
And you will tell me who says no to this. How could you possibly say no? This is going to be win-win. We're going to put on our GM hats, and we're going to look for something that is mutually beneficial.
Okay. I mean, we'll try, right? We'll do our best.
Yeah.
And try to navigate through it. But I always feel like in situations like this.
Are we a particular team?
Well, I will tell you which team you are.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry.
I think we need some backup,
We do have
though.
some team hats over there if you want to go put some on.
We need some backup.
You need backup.
There's certain times in the show where we think, I like to play GM. I do it every day. I don't know if I'm very good at it, but I want to bring in a pro. And a lot of times, I phone the smartest person I know, and it's usually been Jeff Merrick. But I totally forgot. He's like nothing compared to this guy. This guy is the smartest human being, and he knows the market, knows the rumors. Please dial up Elliotte Friedman for me, please. Yes. Look at him.
He answered.
Stand by. Elliotte, you know what? When you're on standby for us, I'll say you're 20 times smarter than Jeff every day of the week.
I was going to say, if you're going to tell me, I don't care who people say I'm smarter than, because I'm really not that smart, but I got to be above Merrick. I cannot tolerate that.
All right. Well, hey, we got some good backup.
You got my vote
Jeff
all the
isn't
time.
watching. He's hearing about this right now, so I can't wait to hear how this unfolds. So, Elliotte, I don't know if you heard earlier, but I'm going to present you now and these two with some hypothetical trades. You're going to put on your GM hat, and you're going to say, who says no to this? How could you possibly say no? Because, of course, it's going to be a good deal. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. So we're going to start with this one. The Devils will receive defenseman Noah Hanahan in exchange for quite a bit here. We have a demon, we have a forward, we have a first-round pick in this year's draft and a second-rounder in next year's. I mean, how could you say no? Rupper, who says no to this?
Man. I mean, that looks good, right? But here's the thing. It's a rental, though, right? I don't know. Is that too much? What are you guys thinking?
Well, I mean, I think it's time that Jersey doesn't need the draft picks. They got a number. They got so many. They got a number 1. They got number 2s. They got they got high draft picks. They need to get players right now. So,
what are you thinking, Elliotte? Would you take this one?
I say right now, Calgary says no until they see if they can do a better deal, see if they can get a higher prospect from another team. I'll tell you something else, too. I think one of the things that's happening in the Hanahan talks is I think teams are trying to find out, will Hanahan extend with them? And if the answer is yes, I think it increases Calgary's package. So right now, I say the answer is Calgary says no until they determine if they can trade a signed Hanahan. And the teams I'm wondering about there are potentially teams, I think the Devils would be one of them. I think like a Boston or a Florida too, because I think if the answer is yes, he can be traded with an extension, then I believe that the package will be higher than that.
I mean, it's funny because I'm saying no from the Devils' standpoint also on this.
Why?
I mean, like Hanahan, yes, that would be, if we can sign him to an extension, then that changes everything.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of I was just looking at the trade, and Elliotte has to throw all these other factors in.
What do you at? Where you at, Bruce? You like this one or no?
Well, I mean, I think if the I think the Devils need something like that, and I don't think they need the picks as much as they did 5 years ago. So after signing in that, if that was, that's the unknown part. It's up to if he agreed to go to Jersey, and then it's up to Jersey to talk him into staying there. I think I would do the trade if I was Jersey.
Hey, real quick before we go to the next one, real quick, Elliotte, from your years of doing this, how delicate is that situation where Noah Hanahan is an expiring contract? So can teams play hardball and be like, all right, we'll just wait till the 11th hour here, and we should be able to get our way a little bit more because they can't let this expire and let Hanahan just walk?
I just think there's going to be too much interest in Hanahan. Sometimes I think you can play hardball. I don't think there's any doubt about that, Mike. It just depends on how many other teams you think are serious. And I think with Hanahan, there will be a number of teams who are serious. I think it's going to be tougher to play hardball in that particular case.
Gentlemen, We're going to move on to our hypothetical trade number 2. Elliotte, I'm going to go to you first on this one because you're living up to the hype and providing all of the insight and expertise. The Oilers and the Pens. Jake Guentzel, we know the rumors have been flying in exchange for Edmonton's #1 overall prospect, Warren Foegele, 2024 first-rounder, and next year's third-round pick. What say you? Oh, by the way, Pittsburgh retains 50% of Guentzel's contract, Elliotte.
Boy, I like this deal. I think this one is pretty close. I think if the Oilers can sweeten that, actually, I got to say, I like this deal. I'd have to think about it a bit longer, but just throwing that to me right now, Lauren, I like this deal in a lot of different directions. I do.
I feel like this is rare.
I think if there was one player in there that Pittsburgh could say, like, that can help us additionally now, like a young player, like Akey still needs a bit of time. Like, if you heard Dubas yesterday, he said he wants young players who aren't necessarily in the American Hockey League or in junior, but can help them in the next year or two. I like that deal. I think that's pretty close, but I think they want someone a little more ripe. But that's a good deal. I think that's a very fair template.
So they both say yes with maybe a little chip thrown in there.
And Edmonton can reply with, you already got Puljujärvi.
Yeah.
I mean, no,
I don't know that that's going to work.
Just kidding. But no, I like this one too, to your point. But yeah, I think the one thing that Kyle Dubas was very particular about was, this is, yes, get younger. It's about the future, but they want a player now, too, that can come in and be impactful and fit into that lineup. So I think we're really close on a deal like that. I like it, but I think it would just maybe have to be a little bit tweaked for that to go through.
Well, I mean, did the Oilers, Elliotte, think they need another offensive player to win the Cup?
I think they're looking at a couple of different things there, Bruce. I think they're looking at a D. But like in the first round, Bruce, they're going to play Vegas right now. Mm-hmm. And you got to be a 4-line team to beat Vegas. Now, I know, like, Eichel, I think, is, like Bruce Cassidy said today, Eichel may be coming on their trip. So he's not far. Like, he's a week or two, and we'll see what this all happens with Stone. But when the Oilers lost their 16-game winning streak in Vegas, one of the things they were reminded about was, we have got to be a 4-line team to beat the Golden Knights in a 7-game series. So and also, plus, guys, I think Guentzel's the best player available out there. I don't think it's ever bad to say we're adding the best available player and think, oh, well, that's not what we need. I think a forward, even a top forward, I don't think it's ever bad, but I do think they are still looking at, I don't think they want to do a goalie. Their fans are a little nervous about Skinner right now. I think he'll be fine. But I still think they're considering defense as well and maybe a depth forward. But, Bruce, he's the best forward available. When is that ever bad?
No, I agree with you. If that's what you need, you think you can win the Cup if you make this deal, I think you go for it all the time. Especially, they've gotten to the second round recently, but it's about time that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have a chance to actually win the Cup. And if this is the deal they think they can do to get there, I'd be giving up the farm.
Push them all in.
Hey, you want to sweeten it up even more? Penguins throw in Alex Nedeljkovic, and now we got ourselves something here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what?
If you want to add some security and insurance policy in net for Edmonton, why not Ned, right? But anyways. Yeah, I love these old hypotheticals.
You just drop this bomb and then walk away.
I can't wait for these GMs to watch us and be like, these guys have no idea.
Are they thinking?
Oh, they're saying that already, even before this segment started.
You're
but you
not
know
wrong.
what? The more I think about it, Lauren, I think if Edmonton puts a player in there who's a little bit more ready now, a young player who's ready now, that's the kind of deal that could happen.
Dylan Holloway?
I don't know that they would want to do that. Yeah. I don't know that they would want to do that. That's a lot to give up. See, Edmonton, I don't think they can sign Guentzel. So this is a pure rental for them.
Pure rental, yeah.
Pure rental, yeah.
It won't
But you're
matter
not
when
far
you're
off.
hoisting that cup. Okay, we're moving on to hypothetical trade number 3. Things are about to get real because this is a 3-team deal. The Avs will receive Adam Henrique. The Ducks will receive a first-rounder from this year's draft, obviously from Colorado. The Sabres will receive this year's 4th-round pick, also from Colorado. Anaheim retains 25%, and Buffalo retains 50% of Henrique's contract. Carry the 5, subtract the 2, add the decimal point, and there we go. We're doing math. Coach, who says no to this trade?
I do.
Why?
Well, because I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Adam Henrique. And I mean, and I like Adam a lot and know him. And but I think he's a maybe on that team a third-line player. And I think that's too much to give up. Especially if they're going to be, Colorado right now is probably the 24th pick, 25th pick maybe, when it comes down to it. I just think it's an awful lot.
I find that this is where it gets tough too, because like when you're talking about Colorado, they're in a tough spot. We've known this since Kadri's left. The center ice position right now, I mean, up until this last week, I know Ryan Johansson got 2 goals the other night, but he's been playing 4th line, 3rd line. Ross Colton playing 2nd line center. Like I love him as a player, but for where they want to be and what they want to do, I think it's just adding another player at center ice. I can get around this, and obviously Buffalo would be the kind of the broker of this deal. I don't that center market once you had Lindholm and Monahan gone, like Adam Henrique's kind of that next one, unless you go off a player that has term, and then that gets sticky for teams like this that don't have any room. I don't know. I like this one.
That one came out of the blue for me, so I was just sort of, whoa, okay, what do I do? I got 20 seconds to make a deal.
You took a stand and you hung up the phone.
I took a stand.
I'm
Boom.
not listening to any of this. Elliotte, who says no?
Well, Lauren, first of all, I admire your creativity. I think that's a very creative deal in terms of the 50 to 25 and Buffalo getting involved too. I'd say this is the kind of deal that Colorado would say not no to right now, but yes to if it's still there in a couple of weeks. If you look at Colorado's history, when they trade for players, they prefer to trade for players with term. They traded for Josh Manson. Manson, they knew they could extend. Lehkonen, they knew they could extend. And then if you look at what they're looking at right now, I think they're looking at guys like Kerfoot and Bjugstad who still have another year. So with Henrique, unless they want to extend him, it doesn't fit their MO. But if this is still on the table as we get closer to the deadline and Colorado still needs a center, yes, I think they could do something like this. Although Colorado's history is if we move the first, we're doing it for a player we think we can keep. And that's something I always keep in mind.
Yeah, we all know C-Mac pretty well, and yeah, he's gonna do something that's a little bit more safe than that, in my opinion. But maybe down the road, you never know. By the way, Elliotte, I wish I could take complete credit for the creativity within these hypothetical trades, but I got some help with our amazing crew here at NHL Network. Moving on.
No, I saw you in your office. She had the strings going on the.
I was wearing like my tinfoil helmet. It was great. Hypothetical
trade. Lauren, if you don't take credit for things you don't do, you'll never go far.
That's a good point, Elliotte. I was like mulling it over in my head. And I was like, do I just let it pass? And I was just like, I can't because we all worked way too hard on it. Okay, I did come up with this one. Hypothetical trade number 4, Stars receive Chris Tanev, and the Flames get Ty Dellandrea and a 2024 second rounder for this year's draft. Calgary retains 50% of Tanev's contract. Rupper, who says no?
I say no to this one. I think one of the things that the Dallas Stars have going for them right now is they've got some forward depth, and I don't want to touch that, And I know adding Tanev as far as a defensive shutdown guy, but I mean, I don't know. This Stars team's interesting because if they stayed pat, I'd kind of be okay with it. But I'm really interested to see if they do something. But I don't know. Ty Dellandrea is still. He's shown some bright spots in his young career, and I think that consistency is a little bit of an issue, but it's also another weapon, right? And you can get some depth scoring. I think that's what's different with the Stars team now, and that's why I like them. So I'd say no to this.
Coach?
I would say yes to this if I was the Stars, because I mean, I think they need another solid defenseman on their roster if they want to go long ways in the playoffs. I mean, and to do something, if you think you've got a chance at winning the cup, you've got to give up sometimes something pretty good in Dellandrea. The second-round pick, I'm not worried about. You can make trades to reacquire a second-round pick. But I mean, I think if the Stars, and they are deep at forward, I think, for this year, they might be not in a year or two because they got some guys getting pretty old. But I think for this year, they're deep enough, and defense is where I think they need a little bit of help.
Elliotte, who says no?
I got to tell you, if I'm the Flames, I'm taking that deal, yes, 100%. And I think that the tougher decision there would be for the Stars to include him for a rental. Look, Calgary's had success with Sharon Govich, who's a young player who just needed a new opportunity. Dellandrea is a talented young guy. You know, the Flames have tried to get a first-round pick for Tanev, but if you're getting Dellandrea in a second, you take that deal in a second. And you know, if I'm Dallas, I would grimace at the idea of giving up Dellandrea for a rental, but you're trying to win the Stanley Cup, and Tanev fills the one hole that you kind of have. I think that's a harder deal for Dallas than it is for Calgary, but I would strongly consider that one if I was both these teams.
That would be so fun.
Actually, if I was the Flames, I would be saying yes before Dallas hung up the phone.
Hey, if we would hit on any of these, we will put this on loop for every NHL Network show
ever and ever on every social platform.
Let's go.
Tell anyone who will listen. Elliotte, here comes our fifth and final hypothetical trade. The Golden Knights will receive Tarasenko, while the Sens will get a 2024 second rounder and forward Brendan Brisson, who is Las Vegas's number 4 prospect. So Ottawa will retain 50% of Tarasenko's contract. Elliotte, who says no?
Vegas in this case. I think it's too big a price to pay. I think it's the kind of move that Vegas will look at. They'll look at a winger, for no doubt about that in my mind. But that's a big price. I think Ottawa's saying yes to that kind of a deal. I think they would be very happy if they got that kind of a deal for Tarasenko. But I would think Vegas would look at that and say that's a lot to give up for a rental.
Here's the kicker for me, and I agree with you on that one, Elliotte, but I was doing this when the Rangers went and got Vlad Tarasenko. I went back and looked at Ovi, Austin Matthews, Nate McKinnon.
Wow.
Like, you're talking about the goal scorers over the past however long, right? And in the playoffs. And Austin Matthews actually wasn't really a great candidate for that because he didn't have a ton of playoff games. But you're talking about some of the league's best scorers in the playoffs. I had no idea that Vlad Tarasenko is right in the mix with all of them. I think he had like 90 playoff games, 45 goals or something in the playoffs. Like, you don't have to love him for 82 games. I don't know if I do. But, man, in the playoffs, putting the puck in the back of the net, this guy's an absolute gamer. So that's the one, like, I saw that, and when that popped on the screen, we haven't seen these prior. I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. Just knowing that track record there, I think I'd have to go, with that one. I think Vegas, and Vegas is structured enough where I think he'll fall in and he'll be insulated because the things he doesn't do, the team does. But he's also that guy that can change a game real quick with his shot.
44 goals and 97 postseason games.
Here's my thought, Elliotte. I'm the coach. I don't give a darn. I don't give a darn about the draft choices or the young guys because I'm going to be fired by the time they're any good. So I want the deal done.
I don't know. I completely understand your point, Bruce. I really do, and it's true. I just think for Vegas, I think they will look at that as too big a price for that particular player. That's the way I would see it.
Coach, it's all about being in the now, right? The past doesn't exist. The future is something that hasn't happened yet. So I love your outlook.